evening and welcome to this edition of News Leader. I'm Andrew Todd. In tonight's news, Tennessee legislatures hope to have a new Do Not Text registry. We dive into more Jack Daniels history, and Governor Lee is working with TVA to expand nuclear power generation. We'll have all these stories and more on tonight's News Leader.
Hi, my name is Ringo, here at Parkview Senior Living. They're human-friendly. That's why I love it here, and so does my senior human. When they want a bite, they get chef-prepared meals, and so do I. Movies in the theater, day trips, walks on the trail, and other senior humans to play with. The grass and the grounds are exquisite. It's everything my human needs to be healthy and active. Parkview. A Parkview Senior Living. For your dog's best friend, you.
We teach Parkinson's patients how to move big and not let the Parkinson's slow them down. I've had patients I've treated in-house that could not even stand up, could not roll over in the bed, left the facility walking with a walker, have come back to us in outpatient and continued their big program and are now completely, handling life. The success of the program is just phenomenal.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Welcome back. Last week, the House Chamber unanimously passed legislation to allow Tennessee consumers to block unwanted text messages. The Senate companion version passed unanimously on March 6th. House Bill 805, sponsored by House Majority Leader William Lamberth of Portland, merges text message solicitations to the state's Do Not Call registry. It extends the same prohibitions, requirements, and penalties that apply to telephone solicitations to unwanted text messages. The Tennessee Public Utility Commission would continue to oversee the registry, which includes landlines and cell phone numbers of Tennessee telephone subscribers who have elected not to receive solicitations. Businesses may not be included on the list. Lamberth told members of the House floor, quote, "I think we're all sick of getting unsolicited text messages from individuals we don't know, and I know my constituents are as well. If you want to be left alone, you can be added to this and just be left alone," end quote. House Bill 805 prescribes a maximum penalty of $2,000 for each violation of a text solicitation to a person on the registry. There are some exemptions to the law, which include invitations to be called by the person being called and solicitations on behalf of a not-for-profit organization. The Tennessee Do Not Call law only authorizes the regulation of telemarketing for commercial purposes. Political telemarketing is not covered by this law. Because free speech is guaranteed in the U.S. Constitution, the U.S. Supreme Court has allowed for the regulation of commercial speech, but has provided political speech with much greater protection from government regulation. House Bill 805 now heads to the governor's desk for his signature. For information and to be added to the Do Not Call registry, visit tn.gov website and search Do Not Call for the link. And we'll be right back after these messages.
Parkview Senior Living, active, independent senior living at its finest.
We tend to lose our motivation when we have something that's chronic, but you've got to do what you can early on as you can. After I'd exercise like that, I would have a lot of energy to do housework or whatever I needed. Well, I would recommend it highly to anyone at any degree of Parkinson.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Welcome back. News leaders Philip Scoggins recently sat down with County Mayor Judd Matheny. Judd introduced us to County Director of Accounts and Budgets Mariana Ettinger and spoke about this year's county budget.
I have with me a wonderful asset for Coffee County, and it is our Finance Director, Budget Director, Mariana Ettinger. And she probably does the most comprehensive work in this county for all the departments. She is the budget director for the entire county, all the elected officials. She also, of course, works with the school systems also. But I want to her to talk a little bit about her background and how she ended up in Coffee County, how long she's been here, and what she does.
All right. Well, good morning. Mariana Ettinger. I'm the Director of Accounts and Budgets for Coffee County. I've been here as of Wednesday 17 years. Man, the longest running one, knock on wood. Like Mayor said, I manage all the funds, all the debt for the county. I run the ambulance service financials. Should we stay on track? I have a degree in managerial accounting, and I am also a certified government financial manager and a certified county financial manager. So get a lot of training. It's important, and stay on top of things with what we have to deal with back in our audit, in our office, especially auditing and budgeting and all of the general operations of the county that we're responsible for.
And you do a great job, and folks need to know that last year she received a perfect audit score. She had no findings whatsoever, and to put that in perspective, that's just millions and millions of numbers and transactions all being put in the right rows and columns, and that's pretty invaluable. So she does a great job, and we sure appreciate it. And 17 years is a lot of staying power. It gives a lot of experience to the evolution of Coffee County, and also knows inside and out the things that we are capable of doing and the things that we need to ask on, for outside help. And it's very nice to have her. As you can see, this is like the very first draft of the budget document that we're working with. We kind of started it in earnest here in March, and we hope in the next 90 to 120 days to have a good, responsible budget moving forward. We have, of course, inflation to take into account. We were talking about that this morning, and we don't know yet exactly what number we're going to have to play with in the budget, but obviously it's higher than anybody wanted it to be. We have employee pay raises that we want to be able to look at, both short term and be able to get them up longer term. And there's some other major things we're looking at. I would really like to see a property tax decrease in the works in Coffee County too, even if it's a very small amount at first, just to show that we're heading that way. So trying to put all these things together, also dealing with the huge opportunities we have, the needs of so many departments. We have a lot of equipment replacement that has to be taken care of. We're going to really try to start appropriating more money for training and to allow our employees to get more skills so they can be better public servants for us. That may include rewriting some job descriptions and changing some things, but we want to make those options available to our employees, especially those in the first responder area and those dealing with juveniles. So anything else before she and I've got to get back to her office and meet with Sam Harper again and start chewing our way through this document. So
Just encourage the public's continued interest and attending meetings so they can be a part of what all goes into, preparing a budget and where all the funding comes from and what it's for. It's just very important.
Yep. And we plan to make that easier than ever for the public this year, not only through everything being live streamed and on-demand video afterwards, but also probably we'll have some type of public work session on the budget before it goes through the committee process, all of that which will be open to the public. And, my meetings with her are open to the public also as we talk about things. So thank you very much.
And we'll be right back after these messages.
For many senior citizens, life looks like this, but it doesn't have to. When you make your home at Parkview Senior Living, life after retirement takes on a whole new meaning. Daily exercise options, fun outings, happy hour, game nights, movies and popcorn, arts and crafts, enjoying friends over chef-prepared meals. Parkview Senior Living, where you're always home, but you're never home alone.
I had a knee replacement, so they've got me in life care, which I'm very, very thankful for. I couldn't garden, I couldn't do my flower beds, I can't chase my little dogs. I have been in several therapy sessions for knees and back, and that's the best therapist I believe I've ever been to. It's tremendous because I'm able to walk again, but if it wasn't for the care, I wouldn't be where I am.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Welcome back. Last week we heard from Jack Daniel's historian Mike Northcutt about Jack's history. Today we continue his presentation about the history of Jack Daniel's and the world-famous distillery that bears his name, along with a story of the first collectible bottle of Jack he ever purchased.
Jack Daniel actually got sick in about 1907. That's when I don't know if that's when he kicked the safe or whatever, but he got real sick in 1907, and he found religion and he got baptized in the Mount Moriah Baptist Church, and he basically turned over all of his operations to Lem Motlow. Now y'all know who Lem Motlow was, don't you? That's his nephew. So Lem Motlow basically took over the operation of the distillery in 1907. Now if you know history, national prohibition came legal in 1918. But Tennessee went dry in 1909. We went dry 9 years before national prohibition started. So Lem, when they went dry, when Tennessee went dry, Lem moved the distillery down to Birmingham, Alabama, Hopkinsville, Kentucky, and St. Louis, Missouri. But people around here still, we forgot our medicinal bottle, didn't we?
It's down there.
It's down there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They found a loophole in the Prohibition Act that you could still buy whiskey if you got a doctor's or a prescription for it. And we got a bottle here that's 1928, I think. You could still buy whiskey around here, but you had to be sick. You had to be sick. So anyway, I think that still works today anyway. But anyway, when Jack ended up dying in 1911, and like I said, he moved the distillery down to Birmingham, Alabama, where Lem was still making whiskey and bottling. And one of the rare bottles that he made that's very rare is you don't see many Jack Daniel bottles with Birmingham, Alabama on it. Most of them, you've got one that's got St. Louis on it, don't you? It's the only one I've ever seen. I've never seen a bottle. You've got a couple of Hopkinsville, but Birmingham, Hopkinsville, and St. Louis are very rare, very rare. You don't see those. But when Jack died in 1911, Lem's brother, Jess Motlow, was the distiller at White Oak Distillery in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So Lem contacted his brother, Jess, and asked him if he would come up here and be the master distiller of Jack Daniel Distillery, which he did. Lem resigned in Chattanooga and came up here, and he became the second master distiller, and he was the longest master distiller in the history of the distillery. It was like 40-something years, I think, but 29 years of that was during national prohibition. But Jess was I've always heard he was the best distiller we ever had. He knew the recipe, and he made whiskey, very good whiskey, but anyway, he was the second master distiller. One of my favorite things in my collection is this little ad. You see the wagon tail? That's one of Lem's postcards when he down in Birmingham, Alabama. What else was I supposed to talk about?
Let me inject one thing in, if you would.
Yes.
That Jack Daniel bottle from Birmingham is what they call that's a quart, what I call a rectangular quart bottle. They also had 4 different size bottles, Motlow Distilling Company, yes. Birmingham, Alabama. So he also shared his name on that. Started off with a relatively small and gradually went up to that quart size right there. And it was just Motlow Distilling Company, Birmingham, Alabama. And they're pretty difficult to find nowadays for the most part.
Now, this bottle, I think we've talked about every bottle but that one. To be honest with you, we don't know the history of this one. We don't know why they made an amber bottle. Never know. Nobody knows. These are very, very rare. You cannot find them. So if you know how they made those, we'd like to know. We don't know the history of those. I work at Miss Bobo's. I get a lot of questions about certain things about Jack Daniel. You got anything else you want to say about this up here?
No.
Have you ever thought about where old number 7 came from? Have you got any? I'll tell you what I know. I was reading the other night, somebody thinks it might be because Jack Daniel played dice or something, had something to do with the dice. I don't think that's right. I told this story at Miss Bobo's not too long ago. Jack Daniel never married, never had kids, but he was an eligible bachelor, and he dated and went with a lot of women. They said his favorite girlfriend was number 7. That's what I've heard. But I told that, and a lady sitting at my table said, well, he better not have called her old number 7. So that shot that theory down. I'm not telling that anymore. You know the motto of Jack Daniel whiskey, it's still on every bottle right now. This is my theory. I've said every day we make it the best we can. So they make it 7 days a week. So I thought maybe that's where 7 come from. I told my wife that. She said that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. So I don't tell that anymore either. Now Chris Fletcher, who's the master distiller, he's the grandson of Frank Bobo. Frank told the story, and this is a true story. This is documented. I think it was a guy from Kansas City ordered 7 barrels of whiskey in the late 1800s. Jack put the whiskey on a wagon and took it to Tullahoma, put it on a train, shipped it to this guy. It didn't get there, and several months later, the guy got back with Jack that he never got his whiskey, and Jack said, well, I'll take care of it. And he did, or he contacted the train company and they sent it back, but there had been several months through there that he didn't get whiskey, and Jack had made a lot of whiskey in that time, and the guy requested that he wanted the old number 7 barrels. He didn't want new whiskey, he wanted the old number 7. And that's a good story. That's a good story. It makes a lot of sense. I found, now the old number 7, he started putting old number 7 on his stuff in what, late 1880s?
85.
1885 is when he started putting old number 7 on his bottles and jugs. I found a newspaper about 1887 or something like that, where at that time there were 12 districts in Moore County, and the magistrates of the county were shifting people to different districts because of businesses and the population. Jack Daniel was in the 7th district. They redistricted him to District 4, and he petitioned the magistrate to put him back in the old number 7 district. Now that makes sense to me. Now whether it's true or not, but I mean I've got that newspaper that tells that. So I may have found the secret, I don't know. I've been telling a lot of people that, so anyway.
It's gospel.
Yeah. It's better than some old number 7 woman, isn't it? It's better than that. We're going to talk a little history about Jack Daniel. When we started collecting Jack Daniel 50 years ago, it was not very popular. There just wasn't anybody collecting Jack Daniels. There really wasn't. Very few people collected. We were talking before we started here this morning. We would find these 1895 bottles. Now we used to buy those for $5, and then the cylinder of bottles right here, we could buy those for like $15. Now they're thousands of dollars. I was going to tell this story. Beth doesn't know I'm going to tell this, but the first cylinder I ever bought, we went to a junk auction in Manchester, Tennessee. Just junk. We were flea marketed and everything. We saw one of those, and we said we was going to buy it, and we did. We were sitting in the back of the auction, and we gave $15 for it, I think. Gave $10 for it. Everybody in there turned around and looked at us like, are y'all crazy? Them people are crazy. I'll never forget that. But the bad part about that story, she said, you gave $10 for that bottle. You wrap that thing up before we go home. I don't want you to break it. So I didn't. I laid it in the back seat. Sure enough, I hit the brakes on the way home, and it fell forward and smashed into 100 pieces. I lost 10. So the first one of those I ever bought, I broke.
Next time, say yes to you.
Say yes there, yes. But anyway, I'd say Don might agree with me. In the last 20 plus years, Jack Daniel collecting has just exploded. It is just unbelievable. There's tens of thousands of people that collect Jack Daniel now. Every country in the world, every state has collectors. It is just unbelievable. People are really buying Jack Daniel, new stuff, old stuff. It's just a phenomenon, I think.
And we'll be right back after these messages.
I feel like we're safe at Parkview.
There's somebody on staff all the time. So if you need help, help is there.
We are surrounded with people that are looking after us and taking care of us.
The staff is wonderful and always available. We feel so safe and secure here.
I feel safe at Parkview all the time.
My husband was diagnosed with a spinal infection. He lost his ability to swallow and the movement of his legs.
I couldn't turn over in bed, I couldn't walk, I couldn't eat.
They were just wonderful in the treatment and care they gave my husband.
I regained my mobility where I was able to go home.
It is miraculous.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Welcome back. Recently, Governor Bill Lee made a visit to the Clinch River nuclear site in Kingston, Tennessee, to look at the site where Tennessee hopes to make history by being the first in the country to have a new nuclear technology. The Clinch River location is the only place in the United States with a site permit for a small modular reactor, or SMR. The SMRs generate about a fourth of the power as conventional reactors currently in use by TVA. New nuclear technologies offer advanced passive safety systems for improved safety and security. Nuclear energy is carbon-free and can run all day, every day. For this reason, Lee says it pairs well with intermediate renewable energy sources. In fact, advanced nuclear technology has the versatility to serve as baseload power or as a complement to renewables. Lee was accompanied by Jeff Lash, CEO of TVA, and Congressman Chuck Fleischmann. They toured the site and got to see what the property potentially is going to look like. In February of 2022, TVA launched its new nuclear program and approved $200 million to advance reactor technology. Lee has already committed $50 million to the new nuclear program. Governor Lee said, quote, "It's a new day in America for understanding energy and the production of energy going forward. Certainly things have changed dramatically over the decades. One of the things that's changed most is the need for clean, reliable energy," end quote. Construction of new nuclear technologies like a small modular reactor will create thousands of highly skilled jobs and bring capital investments to the region. TVA is looking at the possibility of multiple SMR deployments beyond the Clinch River nuclear site. SMRs use fission to create heat that generates energy like a traditional nuclear reactor, but they are designed to be much smaller than the others. The project consists of 4 different units on the Clinch River site. Lash said this is only the beginning if everything works out. He said resilient energy sources are critical to businesses and services that rely on them. Having a resilient power source during energy distributions can save billions in costs, maintain critical services, and save lives. Lash of TVA said, quote, "If we're successful here, we'll build 4 units, and the success of building 4 units will allow us to move on and develop other sites. This design takes a very safe technology and takes it to entirely new levels of safety," end quote. There have been several public hearings, and there are more to come in the next phase of the project. People do live close to this site, but Lash says they are involving them with the process, and he assures them the nuclear plant will be safe. TVA officials said the project hopes to advance the company's overall goal of achieving net zero carbon emissions by 2050. Lash said this should bring jobs to Tennessee and can save money and lives. Lee hopes this will pave the way for nuclear technology in America. The governor said that this project will be conducted in phases and would take about 5 to 10 years to be completed. The governor's office released this video after his trip to the proposed site.
Right here on this site is the future of energy in America, frankly. It is a clean, cost-effective energy of the future. TVA is a leader. This region of the country, right here in Oak Ridge, is a leader and has been for generations. We're excited about what this means, not only for Tennessee, for economic development, for energy in this country. This is a great opportunity for our state. And we've talked about the need to lead. Tennessee leads the country in many ways. And today we're talking about leading this country in power generation for generations of the future.
And stay with us. We'll have your weather forecast right after these messages.
One thing about Parkview, we could bring our animal out there with us.
It would have been a deal breaker if we had not been able to take Gracie.
Yeah, we would not have gone.
If you want to do something, there's something to do most of the day. You shouldn't get bored.
I really enjoy my life here at Parkview. I really choose what I want to do. We have a wonderful library with hundreds of books that I love. It is a wonderful place.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's not invoice. It's not MSRP. It's not Christmas Day, although it may feel like it. It's the lowest prices in Middle Tennessee, period. Get to Stan McNabb Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram or Stan McNabb Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac before these prices are gone forever.
Welcome back. We'll take a look at your weather forecast at this time, starting with your weather history on this date. Our record high was in 1910 at 86 degrees. Record low was in 1968 at 18 degrees. The average high for this day is 63, and the average low is 40. Partly cloudy for tonight with a low of 61. Mostly cloudy for Friday with a high of 76 and a low of 60. And 20% chance of rain on Saturday with a high of 73 and a low of 46. And that's our News Leader Report for this evening. We invite you to join us each Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday evenings at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. for News Leader. Stay safe and have a great evening.